وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أكثر ما يدخل الناس الجنة حسن الخلق. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today, inshaAllah ta'ala, we are going to discuss the last section on the bark, the main supporting aspect of a person's Iman in this discussion of the tree of Iman. It may seem similar to the previous sessions. It's a bit of a culmination, but it is a specific facet of a person's Iman. It holds great weight in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is al-husnul mu'ashara or al-husnul khulq. And we've spoken about different aspects of this. So you'll see we spoke about the tongue. The bulk of what ulama mention of a person's Islam, and it's obvious because a person's Islam is something that people interact with. A person's tongue can make and break relationships. A person's tongue, his speech, can make and break communities. We spoke about dhikrullah, the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tilawatul Quran, and how these are aspects that build a person's Iman and Islam. They build a community, and they can be what we can experience, the good on the not good of a person's Islam. Husnul mu'ashara or husnul khulq is potentially one of the most critical aspects when it comes to the barzakh. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam in various ahadith have spoken about what we call the imtithal, the manifestation of a person's deeds in this world. They will have a direct manifestation in the barzakh. And again, we spoke about all the internal a'mal of the qalb, the iman, the person's... we spoke about all of that. And then on top of this beautiful tree of Iman, by and large, it's all good deeds. By and large, it's all good deeds. Do this amal, do this amal, do this amal. In the middle here, we have all these aspects that connect the top to the bottom. For example, husnul ma'ashara. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, depicts so many times in the hadith. Like for example, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam says that a person will be forced into a difficult situation or a bad situation, and then he has sabr. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, as-sabru junnah. That sabr is like a shield. Those manifestations is not for the akhirah. It's not for Jannah. It's not on the day of Qiyamah. It's in regard to the barzakh. So a person, he displays what we call it remarkable or remarkable character. And he's been tested, his wits is been tested, whether it's by his family, whether it's by his community. See, this is where this is coming. Husnul mu'ashara, his good akhlaq is always tested by people. You don't display good akhlaq alone in tahajjud time. No, that will do with your internal roots of your iman. That's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The akhlaq, al-khuluq al-hasana, most times is between two people. A person is testing a person. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when a person is fasting, and somebody really presses your channels, say, inni sa'im. Use this as your shield. Listen, I'm fasting, brother. Let me just leave this discussion. Let me walk away. But these manifestations, they have a reality in the barzakh. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, a person will go, I gave an example, and that action will present itself in the barzakh, and a physical shield will come and block him and save him from the adhab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This good character comes out of husnul khuluq and husnul ma'ashara. They have many parts. There's one hadith, Imam Ahmad rahmatullah alayhi narrates. Very beautiful hadith. Inna min ahabbikum ilayya wa aqrabakum minni majlisan yawm al-qiyamah ahasinukum akhlaqa. Beautiful, really, really is beautiful. This hadith is narrated from Jabir ibn Abdullah. Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu. Now ulama say this is not only referring to akhirah, meaning yawmul akhirah. It's meaning from the barzakh right till the day of qiyamah. Because there is both a gathering of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the barzakh. in A'la Illiyin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us that we may be seated in a gathering. Jabir bin Abdullah says, radiallahu anhu, Inna min ahabbikum, Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told him, that from the most beloved of the ummah to me, wa aqrabakum minni, closest to me, majlisan, seated around me, yawm al-qiyamah, in the akhirah, ahasinukum akhlaqa. Ahasin is not just husn. They had to really go the extra mile in being good in their akhlaq. That's the Islam. Internally is the Iman, the power. But obviously, the internal state in your heart is going to manifest in your action. If you are going to blow off in anger, it is because of a state in your heart. If something is going to happen in your Islam outwardly, it's most probably because of the state of your heart or the state of your nafs. If the nafs overpowers you, your akhlaq is going to be weak. If your qalb overpowers you, if your spiritual strength, your roots go deep, you're holding deep in your Iman and all these spiritual internal states, then you will find your Islam, this bark of your deen, will be very, 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 very strong. And the rewards is not light. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he mentioned in another hadith, here's it, I found it. It's also mentioned by Imam Ahmad rahmatullah alayh. Abdullah ibn Amr radiallahu anhu, he was one of the youngsters, teenagers, subhanallah. See how Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam was shaping the future generation. The Nabi of Allah said, Innal Muslim al-Musaddid. The Muslim, see, Islam and Muslim. Now we're not talking about mu'min. The reason I'm bringing this is to do with our Islam. The bark of our deen, the strength of our deen, is our Islam, what people see of us. In this Islam is where this, subhanallah, our bark is going to grow, it's going to grow, it's going to get strong. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Innal Muslim al-Musaddid. That a Muslim who is traveling a straightened path, alright? لا يدركه الدرجة الصوام القوام بآيات الله عز وجل لكرم ضريبته وحسن خلقه. He will achieve more than a person who has fasted every single day and a person who is only indulged in the qira'ah, in the tilawah of the Quran. These are two very serious things. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that a person who makes sawmud dahr, he fasts the bulk of the year. Fast one day, he doesn't fast one day. Or he fasts every day except for 5 days in the year. This person has a very high position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then in another hadith, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we spoke about it, the fadila of making tilawah of Quran, how Allah loves to hear. I told Imam Ahmad in the dream that there is nothing more beloved that comes to me than this tilawah of Quran. But here Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that I'll give you one stage above this too. You will achieve more. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, La yudrik daraja. You will attain everything these two groups have attained. And you will get a higher state. What must you do? لِكَرَمِ ضَرِيبَتِهِ وَحُسْنُ خُلُقِهِ. It is done by your gentle nature. Your gentle nature towards other people. وَحُسْنُ الْخُلُقِ. And here Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam separated good character. So one is the person has good character only when he is in specific situations. So a person can have husnul khuluq in the workplace. A person can have, Allah forgive us, the greatest test of our husnul khuluq is in our homes. We are all weak in this. We need to, really, between us and our wives and our family and our children. And sometimes children can be really testing. And we are ourselves a test on our families. Allah forgive us. So that is husnul khuluq. But this karam, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that your general demeanor. Some people, especially today in modern society, you find people believe you must be hard, harsh, you must be distant from people, what you need, what you want, sorry, I can't help you, even if you're not in a position to help a person, you can say one kalimatu tayyibah, you can say one good word. See again, Islam, the Islam of you and your Islam. There was an incident, I know it was Ma'mun al-Rashid, yes, beautiful story. Ma'mun al-Rashid, he had later this person, Abu al-Abbas became his chief justice, the head of the army. But before Abu al-Abbas became his chief justice, Ma'mun al-Rashid, subhanallah, there was a revolt against him. And in the revolt against him, Ma'mun had to hide somewhere. He really had to hide. You have to really, subhanAllah, that time even presidents or khalifas. When he went into the specific city, he came knocking, nobody wanted to give. This was the Khalifa of the time and he was a just Khalifa. Nobody wanted to give him help. Abu Abbas saw Ma'mun, he called him, he said, no problem, you come, I got a cellar under my house. You know, those days they had like wooden, like you could go under, like, you know, our houses, we're not used to it. In America still, you can find first story, second story, and then you get this under basement. So, he opened and Abu Abbas let him go inside. And when the guards came, they were going house, they said, no, he entered the city. They were pushing very hard. When they came to Abu Abbas' house, he was a fearsome man. Fearsome. He was already in the ranks of the army. He wasn't yet the head of the army. So Abu Abbas said, are you guys challenging me? I warn you. Leave my house. You think the Khalifa was here and I wouldn't have told you? And they came and the Ma'mun al-Rashid says, I could see the feet. The dust was coming through the cracks of the wood. It was falling on me. He says, I was shaking. They were about to kill me, execute me. And they went away. He says, I stayed with Abu Abbas for a few days. After the situation calmed down, we parted our ways. And subhanallah, now when I got back to the city, I got back to my main group and we retook the Khilafah. Subhanallah, dramatic times that. Anyway, and he says, in the space of about 6 months, we retook the Khilafah, and I was the correct elected Khalifa, so the people came behind me. So about 5 years later, my army went and they accused a man who was trying to destroy Islam. They accused this person, and they caught him. When they caught this person, they locked him up in chains. You must read the narration. They put a hood over his head. They had him strapped to a wooden chair. You know, like today we can understand this. In those days it wasn't the case. And the Khalifa said, no, I need to go see this person. So they took him. When they came in, they took the wood of this person. Straight away, Ma'mun al-Rashid did not realize who he was. A big beard, big muscles. Ma'mun al-Rashid says, you know what? I came and I started to talk to this person. So he said, but what are you doing here? Oh, Khalifa? He says, look, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow in the case. You're going to have to sit in front. I thought, let me get to know you, number one. Number two, the way they're treating you is so severe and so harsh. They're saying you are going against Allah and His Nabi. You are changing the deen. You are doing this and this and this. And you're doing all of this. And Abu Abbas is sitting and he's shaking his head. And the Khalifa took the bowl himself, gave him water to drink. And after he spoke, Abu Abbas said, you know, can I ask you a question? He said, gee. He says, about 5 years ago, there was an insurrection against your Khilafah. He says, yes, I remember. He says, you escaped somewhere to this one town, one small town. He says, yeah. Ma'mun al-Rashid said, oh, my mind started going, how does this guy know this? And then he says, remember you escaped to that one house and you were hiding under the cellar. Ma'mun says, Wallah, how do you know this? He says, remember you were in the cellar and there was this and this man from the army and his foot was on the floor and the dust was falling on your nose. Huh? When you came up, there was a man who dusted your nose. Ma'mun al-Rashid said, I fell to his feet. He said, Abu Abbas, my friend, is this you? He says, I started removing the chains. And he says, oh Ma'mun al-Rashid, I leave the case in your hands. Wallah, whether you believe the lies or not, I'm not going to speak a word. I'm not going to. The next day, Ma'mun al-Rashid came to the court, and he, when the case started, and these two people came, subhanallah, the husnul khuluq, Ma'mun al-Rashid came into the court, and he told the Chief Justice, he says, Wallah, I as the Khalifa command that this man must be forgiven, must be let loose, and he must be given an immense reward. And I overruled this ruling. I actually am telling you, seize these two people. There's something here that we are not aware of. The chief was very, very, very shocked. In the Khilafah, there was a similar rule at certain cases that where the Chief Justice was allowed to make a separate decision to the government. They took it from the Khilafah, like, we got our legislative court separate, then we got our government. So in Ma'mun al-Rashid's time, they done that, so that the Khalifa can't become a tyrant, and he is the ruler. But he says, listen, and he said, no problem. He says, leave Abu Abbas today. If you do an investigation in these two people, and Abu Abbas is the zalim, and he is I want you, because the penalty was death. This was severe. It was about a beheading. Ma'mun al-Rashid said, let me be killed. Abu al-Abbas was let free. They done an investigation. And what did they find out? That these two people, they've been living in the city for 15 years. They came secretly on behalf of the Shia. And they waited so many years. And then 5 years ago when this happened, they did not know that this was Abu al-Abbas that helped the Khalifa. They targeted him because they found he was the greatest, most straightest man in the entire army. Abu al-Abbas was about to be elected as the head chief of army. He was about to, and they realized that if the Shia want to come and attack, and they have such a just man, the people will follow him. They planned and orchestrated this whole thing. They spread their propaganda in the community. The propaganda reached the Khalifa. Propaganda is so dangerous. I mean, propaganda was committed against Aisha radiallahu anha. It reached the ears of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Nabi of Allah became extremely saddened. And he said, oh Aisha, until Allah clarifies this matter, sit one side. Aisha radiallahu anha, she cried. She says, oh Nabi of Allah, that the people slandering me means nothing. But oh Nabi of Allah, the fact that some doubt has entered your heart, oh Nabi of Allah, this hurts me. And that is why Allah Ta'ala revealed ayatul bara'ah, ayat revealing bara'ah, free from the slander. That it is the munafiqun. And some Muslims Allah Ta'ala forgive. So husnul khuluq is not a small thing. How we treat people, what we say against people, that's the culmination of this thing. We spoke about ghibah separately. Your character can not only make and break the ummah, it can make and break your Islam. People may know you by your character. And that is why I will quote to you, subhanallah, another hadith. Ya Allah. When you hear this hadith, it makes you shake, really. So this hadith is now, subhanallah, the segue into tomorrow where we're going to speak about the branches of Iman. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, إِلَيْكَ يَسْعَدُ الْكَلِمُ الطَّيِّبَةِ. Towards Allah is raising your kalimatu tayyibah. So this tree is growing. And when you recite the dhikr of La ilaha illallah and any dhikr, it just raises towards Allah. It raises. Alright? وَالْعَمَلُ صَالِحْ يَرْفَعْ. And the good deeds we do, they give you fuel. So from tomorrow we're only going to speak about all the good deeds. So you want your tree to rise and rise. Bad example, but you know in our small we're done jacking the beanstalk. Alright? You want your beanstalk to make it to the arsh of Allah. You want your tree to make it. You don't need magic beans. Your magic beans is good deeds. But in regards to this, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, there is malaika that hold this arsh. Now mashallah, we spoke about this a few days ago, about the connection between the barzakh, connection between the akhirah in this world. There is a connection between the angels that hold the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, there may only be 8. In one narration, there is thousands below them. The 8 major angels, they are so loud, so large. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, إِنَّمَا بَيْنَ شَحْمَيَّ الْأُذَنِ إِلَىٰ عَاتِقِهِ مَسِيرَةُ 700 am. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, these 8 angels that Allah has placed under His arsh, between the earlobe and between the starting of the shoulder, alright, is 700,000 years. And one narration of a tabi says, 100,000 angels doesn't equal to the tip of the wing of one of those angels. Massive, the humongous. There's an entire heaven just for 8. Subhanallah. The entire heavens have millions of angels, and then there's only, Allah's arsh is, there's no size, we can't even comprehend the size of the arsh of Allah. And then below, they don't hold the arsh, they are below. Allah has given them the honor by saying that they hold the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that when you make the dhikr of Allah, and it comes with a pure love of Allah and pure ikhlas, then the dhikr goes through the different channels, goes through the heavens, and it comes and it makes tawaf of the arsh of Allah. There's an ayah of the Quran, الَّذِينَ يَحْمِلُونَ الْعَرْشِ وَمَنْ حَوْلَهُ يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ. That these angels, they are there around the arsh of Allah. They are making a lot of tasbih and dhikr. What do they say? وَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. They know those who have Iman. The Iman comes, the Amal comes. Now those whose Amal and Iman is strong, regularly, mashallah. How much tawaf we got there? How many adhkar of hours is making tawaf? subhanallah, these angels, they do two things. When you are not sending dhikr, they make tawbah on your behalf. Ya Allah, brother so-and-so, and brother, whoever your name is, sister so-and-so, Ya Allah, today they are not mentioned in the heavens. We, some of the greatest angels of heaven, Ya Allah, forgive them. Maybe they are making a sin, but the word istighfar came, not tawbah. The reason means they are asking, because istighfar is not only against a major sin. Ya Allah, they're forgetting you. That's the istighfar. Ya Allah, and istighfar raises your rank. Ya Allah, you know, brother, Junaid didn't send anything today. Ismail, where is he today? Yeah? And then second, what they do is they then start, if you are mentioned there, then they don't have to, then they say, Ya Allah, look at the amount of accepted ibadah coming, dhikr coming, tilawah coming from the servants, Ya Allah, and they see the name, and then they make dua for your acceptance of rahmah. The rahmah of Allah starts to descend on you. Imagine, subhanallah, imagine your soul is taken out, your husnul khuluq, you're a good person. Now this is the one I want to mention. And then these angels, these thamaniya, these angels, they begin to have a common name for you from what you were called on this earth. If you are known, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, some people are known for their bad temper. So sometimes these angels say, oh Allah, this man with this bad temper, can you forgive him? If you pass away in the condition where you have not rectified your akhlaq, and when you come to the akhirah, these 8 angels, they say, Ya Allah, yes, this man, tikumagaj. Please let not the Gujarati go in the heavens there. Now the Malaikas, they know you tikumagaj. They say Allah tikumagaj, or some other language, whatever it is. Imagine that is how we are. Imagine Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says a person will be called, he is a sour person. He is an angry person. He is a person who is bad to people. He is a person who breaks his tongue. He does not fulfill his amana. So we don't want that to be identified. Walla amalu salih. Obviously good deeds raised. We regularly. So brothers, it's Ramadan. The power of the dhikr of La ilaha illallah is not small. So I want to, now obviously La ilaha illallah was mentioned under dhikrullah. But dhikrullah is mentioned in the roots, under your Iman. Dhikrullah is mentioned in the branch. And dhikrullah is also going to be manifested from the different types of dhikr of Allah on the trees and the leaves. Make regularly dhikr. Keep your tongue moist with the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the benefits of the dhikr of Allah, if it is done with love, it gives you a good character. It does give you a good character. So this husnul mu'ashara, which means a good environment, let us ensure we are not, we're parking wrong. People who are listening, maybe our masjid, we don't have parking problems. You go to the masjid, somebody parks wrong. Now, mashallah, somebody needs to go emergency, and now they are so upset, and they are cursing you. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, beware of the curse of a dog. Beware of the curse because of your dog, that you took your dog, you didn't control your dog. The shepherds, the Nabi of Allah speaking, and your dog weed under the tree. And somebody came, they were a traveler, they needed to make salah, or they needed to relax, and they saw there was this weed. And they said, how inconvenient, Ya Allah, what a horrible servant of yours. Allah says, these minor curses will fall onto you. Now shoes in front of the masjid. How many times the elderly, in this community, the elderly ask me, Maulana, can we ask the people to pack their shoes up nicely? Somebody slips, they break their leg. You are completely responsible in akhirah for that. Our shoes, we want to run the khilafah of the world. My classmates, when we talk about khilafah, I say the khilafah is we can straighten our shoes outside in the madrasa. This is Darul Ulum. Come there, we've got a beautiful shelf for exactly the amount of students. And everybody's shoes is lying there. We want to run khilafah. We want to control the whole world. We want to show the world that we've got such systems, mashallah. But our system doesn't even allow us to put our shoes right. We don't even have that. Our system is husnul khalaq and husnul mu'ashara. The Nabi of Allah was very, 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 very concerned. I want to end up with 2 hadith. 2 hadith that will really make a person's mind perplexed. 2 hadith. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam done 2 actions and he stopped it. He stopped it for the fear that it would become fard on this ummah. Number 1, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam should make so much miswak that for a duration of a few months he put the miswak away. Jibreel alayhi salam asked, oh Nabi of Allah, what is happening? Nabi of Allah said, I will return back to the sunnah and I love it and it will not separate me till death. And yes, the Nabi of Allah made miswak before he died. Why? He said, I fear that it will become fard on my ummah and my ummah will neglect it. But yet it's one of the greatest sunnahs. Why did the Nabi of Allah love the miswak? Other than all the nuraniyat in it. The Nabi of Allah was concerned that when I speak to people, and the ummah is dealing with me, my mouth is not in a disheveled position and my breath is not bad. It will make taklif on people. Really, it's a bad situation. That's one of the hikmah. Number two, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam kept such good ties with his neighbors. Now, the neighbors of the Nabi of Allah is only his wives. But the Nabi of Allah went many. That's why Imam Shafi says 40 doors around. The Nabi of Allah kept such relationships. And then he stopped for a short while. He was remaining silent. Sahaba said, we knew that the Nabi of Allah feared that if he continued, Allah would have made them inheritors of the person's wealth. 1/3 of a person's wealth would be given to your neighbors. Why? Because this is our mu'ashara, this is our community. Be careful, work good, let your akhlaq be good. Make your community, make this ummah. Be very careful about breaking this ummah. This is part of our Islam. Insha'Allah, alhamdulillah, we have covered all that has to do for now with the bark of a person's Iman. Insha'Allah, tomorrow we will be moving over now to about, I think, 35 or 40 of all the different a'mal that make the branches, the leaves, and the fruits of a person's Iman. Wa akhru dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyul kareem.